As I said in Knytt Stories, the game will have more stories for you to download, and I already have one that I can recommend, and that's Knytt's little expansion pack. Rather than it just including one story, it actually contains 4. But A Strange Dream, the one I'm reviewing right now, is the featured one. The core gameplay has not changed one bit, but there's a lot of graphical differences, and several other differences that we'll jump into momentarily. Right now, I wanted to explain something that I didn't get a chance to explain in the previous review of this, seeing as I didn't have all that many Knytt stories. Here you can see your own Knytt stories, and other Knytt stories you've downloaded. There are several kinds, including playgrounds, which are just intended to be fun, and really, I cannot start or finish on any of these. There's just so much to talk about. Again, this review is going to be focusing on A Strange Dream, the featured game of the expansion. I'm going to be talking about what has mainly changed. First off, let's start with the story. This one is about a Knytt that goes to sleep and has a strange dream about her child, explained by this very nice looking cutscene. The first difference I immediately noticed is that none of these are actually gameplay pictures like in the first Knytt story. Instead, we get some of Knytt's amazing looking art. As I went further on, even into this introduction, I knew that this was going to be good. Anyway, the dream involves again the kidnapping of your child by this crow here, and you have to go and save your child. Then next day you wake up and little Knytt is gone and the gameplay starts. The first thing I noticed when I first played this game is that the world is completely different from the first story. It's huge, and there's no possible way I could have covered anywhere near all of the places. There's several castles in the sky, the edges of the world are few and far apart. It is just massive. I think that this might be the biggest Knytt story, period. Of course, I don't mind that because I love exploration in these games. Again, the core gameplay hasn't really changed, other than initially you can run. As you can see graphically, tons has changed. It's much foggier. There seems to be a couple new enemies here and there. One of them being an enemy that stuffs you in its mouth if you happen to come across its path. Of course, you'll be able to tell where they are next time, as they have very obvious teeth. But this enemy, and many other enemies, prove that this is one of those Knytt stories where you have to be really careful. As agile as your little Knytt is, this, coming from the first Knytt story, is actually quite different. Not just because of the bigger world, it's that it's actually quite harder. To get all the moves in the first place is no easy task. But also in this game, your main objective, instead of just collecting all the moves, is to get all the keys, as they'll unlock doors that will bring you up to the crow's nest that you can find little Knytt. You only really need 2 keys to beat the game, though because I'm a completionist, I want all 4. As you can see, there's a lot more world, as I've mentioned. And one of my favorite little touches that Knytt put on, no music is recycled once. It's a completely new soundtrack, and really, it's just as atmospheric as the last one. It's just stunning. The gameplay, the sound, and the graphics all come together to make a really hypnotic experience. The game just feels so calm. The game isn't frustratingly hard, and it's not ridiculously simple. But as I said before, careless action can lead to some unseen death. That was the enemy I was talking about, and it gets me every time. It's all about memorization sometimes. Later on, there's an enemy that just toasts you if you come even close to it. You need the hologram to get anywhere near your child. But I have to ask, why the rush? Getting all 4 keys is really worth it. It's fun to go around and explore this world. It would be a crime for me to show you absolutely everything, though I'll show you some of my favorite parts. For example, this mine town right here, it's been abandoned, but you get the eye that allows you to see ghosts and invisible objects. This also brings up invisible versions of those enemies that I was talking about. Again, graphically the fog looks stunning. Blurring would usually look really bad in a pixel art game. It would seem that the Nifflas used gradients, which is very, very clever. Even coming into this mine, there's tons of new content. It just blows my mind how much stuff is actually available to you. Another one of my favorite places is this little night town here. At first I thought it was another Dark World like the first game, but no, it's completely different. The water looks stunning. Graphically, I think Nifflas has honestly outdone himself. Again, tons of environments. And as I said before, these environments all have completely new songs. And yet again, I found myself sitting there just listening to the songs every now and again. The music is quite different from the machine. In the machine, lots of the songs used pads. This one seems to use less of them, if not none of them. And really, it makes some very high quality, even somewhat very familiar sounding music. It's some of the best I've heard from Nifflas. If you don't know already, Nifflas is also a musician. Put it in short, he's awesome. Speaking of awesome, I don't think it'd be fair if I didn't actually give you a little preview of the music. Here you go. I believe I mentioned that some of the music sounds a bit familiar. This song specifically reminds me of Moonsong from Cave Story. Somewhere I could have sworn that I heard a little bit of Bonesaw. That could be just me though, but still, absolutely stunning soundtrack, and it comes together to further add on to the experience. Nothing technical has been added. There are no new tile sets in the level editor as far as I know, and to that degree there's really nothing extremely new in the game mechanics. There's just a lot more Knytt stories. But even something so small like this manages to enhance the experience to make Knytt stories even better, which makes me want to revamp my score a little bit.